Hello and welcome to another Looney Tunes review video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to follow my journey to review all 1000 classic Looney Tunes shorts and give this video a like as well. So this is a review for a Coy Decoy, released in 1941. It's the 328th in the series and it's directed by Bob Clampett. You can find this on the Porky Pig 101 DVD set. I've upscaled it to approximate HD quality, but it definitely needs a proper restoration. But hey, it's in the public domain, so at the end of this review, I'll have the full cartoon playing for you. But to be consistent with all the other reviews, just a simple little synopsis I'll give you here. Basically, it's another one of those things come to life cartoons, and in this case we're in a bookstore. Porky Pig sings a song, and then it becomes a Daffy short in a bookstore against a wolf. Not really much to it. So first up, you're going to see a re-edit of the original commentary. The whole thing's still up, but this will have the highlights from there, so giving the more important stuff. And then after that, I will go through the many things that I happen to miss. So grab some popcorn and enjoy. With me today are my good friends Austin Kelly and Blue Genocide. Say hi, guys.
Hiya.
Just 1 second. I will greet you guys in a second. Okay, here we go. Look at all these books that I haven't read yet.
Now, this is supposedly starring Porky, but no, we just see him here singing this really funny song, which I actually remembered. I haven't seen this cartoon for probably 25 years, and when I heard him sing that song, I thought, oh, I've seen this before, and I remember, I love it, and yeah, watching here, I noticed when watching this, that this Daffy looks different to the Daffy duck that Bob Clampett would do previously. This looks actually more similar to what was used in You Ought to Be in Pictures, but can you tell us a bit about the design of Daffy here?
Right, yeah. Essentially, after Chuck Jones left the Clampett unit, John Carey, another great Clampett animator, took over Chuck's roles, did character layouts, and he also did model sheets. And he basically took Daffy and kind of tweaked him around and redesigned him in a model sheet. It's all over the internet. You can overlay it here. I just sent it to you. And it looks just like the Daffy here, and especially looks like the Daffy and Carey scenes, which is like, you know, Daffy singing at the beginning. So that's why it looks different. It was just Carey redesigned the duck for this cartoon, and it was just the model, you know, used, you know, for all the other cartoons around the time.
This is the first Daffy duck short of 1941. You'd think, being such a breakout character, sorry, I love this khaki with the eyes, but being such a breakout character, would have used him more often. I mean, so Blue, what do you think of the Daffy design in this one? Do you prefer this one or the earlier Clampett Daffy?
I think this design is great, but I really want to work off the fact that, yeah, it's taken a while for Daffy to reappear, and he's still only been in like half a dozen shorts or so since he was created. And I really think that was because there was some higher up that didn't want them using Daffy too much. It's the only thing that makes sense, because obviously all the studio's directors were getting tired of Porky at this point. And they had this character who gave the audience like a huge reaction. But for some reason, he's only appeared in like, you know, what's it been, 6 shorts or so?
Yeah, that's been one of the surprises in doing this Looney Tunes series. Well, you know, doing it more naughty. You know, I thought, okay, you know, Daffy Duck's in it. He's finally in, and he's not in too many of them.
Well, I mean, it's pure speculation on my part too, but it's just the only thing that makes sense. It's kind of interesting that a draft joke is made considering this is still before the outbreak of World War II in the U.S.
My dentist would love this joke with the bridge.
But I will say that I think the public domain status of this one and the fact that people see it so often, kind of like, you have to see it from an unbiased point of view, and I think when you do, it's really a wonderful cartoon.
Okay, I gotta ask real quick, who did this Porky? Because I don't know, it's really jarring how it looks to me. I don't, like, it's barely, it's missing some frames, I feel.
It's Norm Maccabe, I'm pretty sure. It's got those head tilts, and it's a really nice way. Look at the redrawn print, it really screws it up.
Oh, absolutely. And as we finish up on a very bizarre ending, and I mean, if you really think about it, this ending is so bizarre and hilarious, but, oh boy. Of course, there was a lot that I happened to miss, as I already mentioned, and I'm sure my editor loves editing a lot of this stuff. So this is the second of 3 things coming to life shorts that Clamper did. So the first one was the Goofy Groceries, which wasn't too long ago. But then a few years later, he'll make one of his masterpieces, at least in my opinion, which is Book Review. And Book Review takes more from this one, and I guess Goofy Groceries was more of a general things coming to life, but this one is the idea of books coming to life, which Book Review would end up taking. In fact, Book Review would even have a wolf as a villain, so I see that as a reworking of this short, which is a bit uneven in its execution, but I do like it. I enjoyed it, and that's probably because of its public domain status. I saw it quite a bit, and I still think it's quite fun. So let's go through the short, and let's go through it from the beginning. So I do like the beginning part where it appears to be just one big photo, or maybe they borrowed a camera and just filled a whole bunch of books at a local bookstore. I'm not really sure where the origin of this is, and if you do know the answer, definitely let me know. But these are real books, by the way, and some of these have even become movies, like Uncle Tom's Cabin. You've got One Foot in Heaven, which was nominated for Best Picture, which was featured Frederick March, who won an Oscar for his role in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And Uncle Tom's Cabin actually has that weird little signage that says FHA signage, which it's a joke that Clamper used many times already, but just in case you've encountered this channel from this review, that just basically means that it's an insured loan from the US government at the time, which was designed to help lower income folks buy a home. Now we see Porky, and he is in a book called The Westerner, and that really was a book, and that was turned into a film from 1940 starring Gary Cooper. He sings Ride Tenderfoot Ride, which is actually from another Western film called the same name, Ride Tenderfoot Ride. And that stars Gene Autry. And I gotta say, I do like the animation here of Porky, and I think it's Norm McCabe, based on what Austin Kelly was saying. I know he mentioned that the end animation of Porky was Norm McCabe, but I'm not sure about the beginning. But in any case, I don't know, I like it. I really do. Now, I love how Daffy is the quote-unquote ugly duckling. I think that was a nice little touch there. Of course, ugly duckling is a real story, one of which you've got to be careful as to which child you tell that to. And the song he ends up singing is Get Along Little Doggy, and that's just an old cowboy ballad that's pretty much would have been sung in many different cowboy movies of the time. And as he pops out of the book and he's riding along, he's got his cowboy hat, I like how he just jumps back and forward in the foreground and background. And the whole wacky nature of that scene is just foretelling what Clamp would end up doing once he takes over the Tex Avery unit, and it's not far to go before that actually happens. The one gag that is censored the most, rightfully so, in terms of broadcast on TV, but I'm glad at least on the Porky 101 set it's uncut, as the uncut version should be made available regardless. I don't see this as something as Clampett was meant to give offense to. His whole thing is, okay, there's a black lady here and she's a black beauty. But the gag doesn't sit quite right because he's riding her like a horse. So, yeah, the connotations there is, let's just say it's not a good look. Not a good look there. So, I don't think he meant any harm in this gag, but yeah, it's not a good look. But it is what it is. So we do see The Wolf of Wall Street. Now, that's not the 2013 movie or the memoir it's based off by Jordan Belfort. There was a 1929 film of the same name, but I can't seem to find if that was actually based on a real book or not. I know that there was a con man known as the Wolf of Wall Street named David Lamar, but yeah, I don't know if this was actual book or not. I'm going to assume it's actually just based on the 1929 film, but hey, if you have any other tidbits on that, let me know. We see The Green Bay Tree briefly, and that was a book by Lewis Bromfield, who also wrote the book When the Rains Came, and that was adapted into an actual movie as well. I don't know if the lake was referring to a novel or not. In fact, some of these books I don't think are real. I think they're just puns, and maybe Clamper was just playing with the audience, saying that, yeah, this could be a book. Sometimes books have these generic titles, so it makes you wonder, hey, is this a book or not? Because later on we see hurricane, we see lightning, so I'm going to assume that Clamper was playing with the audience, mixing up real books, books that might exist, and of course books that don't exist at all. It's not like I'm going to lose sleep over wondering which is which anyway. So with the toy, yeah, we all know where this is going. We all know there's a classic cartoon trope where the wolf is going to try and trick this duck. Yeah, but it's still pretty funny, and of course, if you try and freeze frame on Daffy without the eyes, it's pretty darn creepy. Clapper did something similar with a cat in a previous short, so I guess it's a repeat of the gag, but hey, if it worked last time, why not redo it? One of my favorite bits of animation acting in this one is how he's trying to woo the decoy, and I've got to say, I wish I knew who animated that part, but it's definitely some wonderful acting here. He does briefly mention All This in Heaven too, so I'm guessing Clapper just got Mel Blanc to ad-lib his part in this bit here, and he just had in the whole All This in Heaven too, and that's the title of a film from 1940 starring Betty Davis. This one has some interesting smear animation, especially when Daffy is shocked that he sees himself in the wolf's nose. That one's an interesting one to freeze frame, and I gotta wonder, yeah, who animated that, and why the smears in that particular scene? If that's not evidence that Clampett likes to let each animator do their own thing, what is? And when we see Daffy in desperation, he's like, no, 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 and he's showing whole skin and bones, which is a great one to freeze frame on, by the way. I love that particular look. But in a blink and you miss a moment, and this would have been missed in the colorized version, as the details wouldn't have been done well there, especially with the retrace every second frame or so. But the dishpan hands, we can see it's blink and you miss, but it's a nice little touch there. And who could love that beautiful dad joke of the tongue being coated? Chef's kiss to that one. Absolutely love it. It's not the first nor the last time they will do such a joke too. So looking at the army draft, apparently Daffy is white. Could have fooled me, but anyway. It's an unfortunate thing because they actually had on the draft registration, yeah, you have to tell what your race is, and the way it was done here should speak for itself, right? Speaking of those pun drops, Cellar Door and Escape, I can't find anything about those being real books, so again, I think Clampett was just messing with us, but if you do know if they existed back then, definitely let me know. My favorite part is when, Daffy's being chased by this wolf, and he stops the wolf, and he says, "Say, are you following me?"
Say, are you following me?
And then later on, Daffy stops him again and says, "You're a hard man, McGee." That is a catchphrase from Fibber McGee and Molly. And
You're a hard man, McGee.
And I'm guessing the first part was too. I'm just not as familiar with the show. I know a lot of the catchphrases that come from there, and I've heard samples here and there. But yeah, if you can let me know, was the first part the whole "Say, are you following me"? Was it from that show, or was it from another radio show? Now, the Bridge of San Luis Rey, if I said it right, probably butchered it, but anyway, it's a real book, and that was made into a 1927 film, and it was even made in further films after this short was made, I believe 1944 and thereabouts. This just tells me that Clampett was such a pop culture enthusiast regarding movies, radio, comics, and everything, that even stuff by this point, in 1941, it had been out, like, say, 13, 14 years ago at that point, how some of it just is ingrained in his mind. And another book, The Mortal Storm, that was a 1937 novel which was made into a 1940 film starring Margaret Sullivan and James Stewart. We then have For Whom the Bell Tolls, and that of course is a real book. Everyone should at least know this one. It's a 1940 novel by Ernest Hemingway, and it's been deemed one of his best works. And then we reach the end, and it's like, "Oh, hi Porky. Nice to see you're the star of your own short again, right?" So I'm wondering, before he did the color shorts, maybe he had this one in the works when he had the mandate to actually have Porky in every short. I don't know. It's just really, really bizarre. But speaking of bizarre, yeah, I already mentioned the whole babies. But I'm not sure what that line, "you and your education," which is a great line, by the way, I wonder if that comes from somewhere. I don't know. It just, knowing Clampett, it probably is. But either way, it's a funny line. So there was quite a few references in this one. So before we get to the cartoon, I'll just give my brief score. Look, this one gets a 7.5 out of 10, and a lot of it really is a nostalgic thing where I saw this one so many times, colorized. I had no idea about the whole Black Beauty part, so when I saw this on Porky 101, I was like, whoa, alright, okay, that's a bit of a cringy joke, but whatever. So 7.5 out of 10. I do think book review is a lot better, but this just shows just how much he grew as a director, especially once he takes over the text-saving unit. So that'll do it for this review. So continue eating your popcorn. Here comes the short. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Ride, tenderfoot, ride tonight. See the old range riders there at your side tonight. Oh, they're fast company, so if you wanna be a cowboy,
Oh, you're just a side saddle cowboy, provided you don't have to ride. You're wearing a 10-gallon Stetson and a 6-shooter gun at your side. I can't get along, a little doggy. I said I can't even get one that's small. Woo! Oh, I can't get along, little doggy. No doggy at all. I can't do it, I tell ya. Can't even get one. Not at all, that's what I said. Run, cowboy! What are you, step little hell? Get up, come on here. Yippee! Woo-hoo! Some fun! Oh, boy! Ooh, I can get along, a little doggy. No, sir, I can't even get one. That's short. Well, beat me, Daddy. Ate at the bar. Sweetheart, where have you been all my life? Ah, my darling, my sweet, my own. My love, I have waited for this moment. The fond embrace. All this in heaven too. Oh, your eyes. Your nose. No, don't eat me. I'm only a little fella. Not even a mouthful. Look, I'm just skin and bones. See, I got spots before my eyes. I got a deviated septum and dandruff, too. I got BO, dysphanhans, and halitosis. Look, even my tongue's coated. Water on the knee and flat feet, ingrown toenails. Why, even the army don't want me. Look! Say, are you following me? You're a hard man, Muggy. That dumb duck. He's been wasting his time around that decoy. Everybody knows that they can never possibly mean anything to each other. You and your education.